Hi, Ann Cornick for Paint and Porcelain Exchange, and today we're going to be working on our pansies. I'm here so that we can work with beginners and help them get started in trying to paint, but I also want to encourage those of you that have been painting a while to paint along with us. And I have to tell you, pansies are a basic flower. It's one of those things that I think, especially in the U.S., everybody knows, everybody paints, and it's a flat flower, so it's relatively easy to paint, except that it does ruffle a little bit, and so that's something you want to watch out for. And I think for a lot of people, this flower can be a little challenging, and there are some basics that I want to go over for beginners that I think people you need to know in order to be able to paint this flower well. So we're going to be doing pansies on a tray. You can pretty much pair your pansies any way you want with different colors. This I got at an antique store a while ago. Look at the beautiful, beautiful number of pansies and colors. Look at the colors. Now, I think these are more violas because they don't have quite as much, they're a little short in you can't see it there, this part here. But I just thought that this was a good example of all the different colors that you can use. And you can even use them together and they work out fine. As I showed you on that plate, there are a million different color combinations. On the plate that I'm currently working on that kind of inspired this tray as well, painted this with pinks and purples. And then I did ivories and yellow browns in the background. This is just a first fire. The colors I'm using, I have a tray full. If I want to do it in pink, I'm going to do it with the soft pink and either the red grape or maybe a dogwood, which is one of my favorite darker pinks. It's almost like a rose. I'm going to use baby blue and probably cobalt because I kind of like the color. It's really nice and bright and vibrant. But you could also use the baby blue with like a royal purple and get a really beautiful pansy. Then for the ones that are yellowish, I use old ivory. I don't use a yellow because I also want to use an orange, which has red in it, and or a yellow-brown number 2. And if I use an ivory, it doesn't seem like it eats it up quite as much. And then I also have for my leaves chartreuse, moss green, brown green, and this is Jilly brown, but you can use dark brown, rich brown, anything. Because I like to add a little bit of brown to my leaves on the second fire, not necessarily the first fire, but you can add it on the first fire if you want. Purple is, for the leaves, purple would be a good shading for you, that you could use the darker pink. You could also, today it's really important that you use the right size brush. Do not, if you're doing this and you're using this, well, it goes this way actually, see. But if you're using this line drawing, I would recommend very strongly that you use either a 10 or, I don't know, this is a 3/8 inch, which I think it's a 5/8 inch actually. It looks bigger to me, but this is a 12. And you can either use this kind of brush, the quill, or you can use the one with the metal. Whatever brush you use, make sure, now you see on this brush, the edges are worn down, both sides. This one has nice square edges. That's what you want when you're painting on this because the square edges will give you the ruffle effect on your pansy. And the most important thing is how you load your brush. So I'm going to put us down. We're going to start with how to load your brush, because for those of you that aren't loading it right or aren't loading it enough or are only loading the lower half of it, I think you will see a big difference if you load it correctly. Now, by correctly, I mean for this particular flower, every flower you load your brushes a little bit differently. So with this flower, you're going to want to load a full load and a side load. Okay. So now if I'm getting ready and I want to make this pansy here, a pink pansy with maybe a darker pink background, this is what I'm going to do. First of all, you put your oil on the tip of your brush Let's start real basic. I know a lot of you know this, but you only get the oil about, let me get a pencil here, about, can you see me there? About that far, just the tip of your brush. You don't want it to come all the way up. If it comes all the way up, it's going to keep running down while you're painting, and it's going to make your paint thinner. Okay, once you put your brush on, your oil on, you have to pat it off. I use this finger, and I only pat it once, but really hard, so it comes right off. Okay, and then I go in and pick my colors. Now, for this, I'm going to take a full load of the pink. Let me see if I can, that's better. A full load of the pink. And I see how I kind of wiggle it, pull it out? I want it full. I want it entirely on there. Can you see that? See how it's fully on there? And then I'm going to take a side load, just a C-stroke, into my darker color. And if you're not sure if you've done it right, one of the things you can do is test it on your tile. That's why you have a tile. And you can see, and I don't know if you can see there, so let me do it with a little bit darker color here. Let me do it with the red grape so you can see. See the gradation in color? That's what you want. And you want it, see how far my brush is? You want it to go from the bottom of the brush all the way up to the top of the brush, with it fading out at the top of the brush. Otherwise, what you're going to find is you're not going to get that natural kind of shading that is so important to making your flowers really pop. So let's start with this flower here, okay? And I'm going to take my loaded brush, just the way I just loaded it, and I'm going to start at this corner, and I'm going to pull down, pull up, and then go around and a little up. Now, if you skip a spot, that will add to the illusion that there's a ruffle there. Come down and do the bottom. Now, see how my paint is kind of giving out? Okay, I'm going to go back and reload my brush, and then come around and do the rest of it, all the way up. Now, I want to smooth it, so I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to come at the end of my brush. I'm at the very end of my brush, and I'm just going to very gently pull it up. Okay, I'm going to do that a little better, a little quicker. I have to do it quickly or I don't get what I want. There, that's better. When you smooth, you hold it at the end of your brush, and it's like use the back of your hand. You should just barely be touching it, okay? Okay, so the depth of my color is at the bottom here and on the sides. When I do this part of the petal, I'm going to start doing it towards the center like this. Pull, pull, pull. You see that? Let me get my pink a little darker. Pull, pull, pull. All right. And then I'm going to clean my brush. I'm going to load it again. I'm going to put on full load of pink. I don't know, maybe a little bit, a slight corner of the dark, and I'm just going to do the edges of this. Follow it around. See that? That's why it's so important to have a square brush, a nice square corner on the brush, because then when you pull these out like this, they'll look really nice. Otherwise, you'll be fighting to get it into those areas the way you want it. So let's do it again on the other side. We're going to start with the center, and this time you always paint towards yourself. So this time I started the top of that petal and painted down. This time I'm going to start at the bottom and paint up. Pull, 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 pull. Yeah, it could be a little bit darker. So put a darker color on there and just go over what I did. I'm just going to side load with my pink, turn this around, and I'm going to do my outside. And I'm just following kind of the bumps on the outside of that, and all I'm doing is taking my corner and putting it into those bumps That way you automatically leave a highlight here and a highlight here. Okay? Now, I will do my yellow center on this fire, but I will not do the red in the middle of it until the next fire. I just think it works better for me. Okay, now, do I want this to be pink all the way up? Or do I maybe want a purple on the top? So I've decided I want it to be kind of a pinky purple on the top. So what I'm going to do, clean my brush. I'm going to do a full load of my darkest pink that I have on here, this down here, and a side load of my royal purple. And now I'm going to start here and come. Now, the royal purple, if I have it dark enough, will automatically give me shading. See that? Behind I can't talk and paint at the same time. Behind those petals. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to just come and put the corner. See the corner? I'm not using the whole thing. And then I'm going to take my pink and I'm going to pull it out. Just do the pink on the edges. Now, it can be very, very light on this one. It's better, and Eloise will tell you this, it's better to put a million different, oops, I lost my shading there. I'm going to have to go back and put it in. It's better to put an extra coat on than to go too dark on that first fire. So just pull your colors around a little, get them exactly the way you want them. And once you're happy with it, then move on. I think I'm still going to do an ivory. So for my ivory, I'll show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to full load with the ivory. Now, I'm going to side load with the yellow brown 2 that I have here. If you can't get yellow brown 2, which you can't most places, you can use yellow brown, it's fine. And I'm going to start on this guy. Turn, look, turn the piece towards you so that you can get a good handle on what you're working on. Don't leave it this way and try to paint this way. Turn it, okay? And you come down and you're just going to add color. So you're pulling, pulling, pulling to the edge. There, there. Got to get a little more color on the edge here. I'm going to have to reload my colors. There, 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 and there. Okay? And that will be a yellow pansy in the long run. Okay. And I'm going to clean my brush. I'm reloading with a full load of old ivory and a side load of yellow brown, but I'm going to add a tad of orange to it. Oh, not so much a tad, is it? And I'm going to pull it towards the center. If you get too much in the center, push it back. There you go, like that. And it'll be fine. You may have to go in and just pull some of that out. If you do, you can even use, like, I'm going to use this Q-tip because it went into the next thing. There we go. And I'm just going to go over it one more time just to pull it out. Now I'm in my ivory, and I'm going to go back and just, hang on, not enough oil. If it drags, there's not enough oil, but don't get too much oil. And just do the edge. Okay, let's do the guy on this side. Since I only see part of this right here, I'm just going to do it with the orange. Up, up. Got to get a little more orange in there. And later on, I will bring brown in, and that orange, if I get it to the right, that's better. The right color this time will really make the brown pop. Now you think, oh, those colors are weird. You can do any colors you want. You don't have to do the colors I'm doing just because I'm doing them. You do what appeals to you. Get some samples, go on Pinterest, Do whatever you need to do to find what you want for these to be. Okay, now I'm going to do the top up here in just a yellow brown. Eventually that will be brown too, and I'm just going to fill this in with a little yellow brown. And then I'm going to turn it again. I'm side loading with yellow brown. Oops, I side loaded both sides of my brush, so now I got to clean my brush. Okay, there. I want a little more depth here. There we go. Maybe a little more here too. Alrighty, let's paint a leaf, okay? I'm just going to paint the whole thing this time. I am going to put background in. I'm not going to do it until the next time because I don't want to mess up my basic colors. And I think for beginners, that's also a good idea. Stick to just the basic flower. You can always add background and that kind of thing if you want to a little bit later. Also, look at your painting. Make sure that there aren't any areas where there's like a pile of paint. If there is, knock it down with your brush. Because if you have a pile of paint there, you're going to regret it and you're going to have a problem later. Okay, now with the leaves, I'm doing a chartreuse with a side load of warm brown green. And I paint all my leaves about the same. I come across as if they were rose leaves. I come from the outer edge in, reload my colors. I'm going to come down here a little bit. And then I go from the center, and I'm cutting into that pansy. That's why I'm being so gingerly about it, to the outside edge. Now I'm just doing the dark green. Oh, I want these to be rounded. Pansy leaves are rounded, and they're rounded on the end. So don't put your points on there. If you put a point on there, you're indicating a different type of leaf. These are rounded. If you have to, take your eraser, go around, and pull out what you did that you think may not work. You can also do this. Just tap in a couple of really nice veins. Okay, my brush is kind of messed up now. I've got a million places that I use different colors of green. So I'm going to go back in and clean my brush. I do that frequently because I think it really helps my brush in particular stay super, super clean. And I like that. I want the colors to be totally clean on the first fire. Now this is moss with the chartreuse. I know it's different. I'm going to add a little bit of brown to it after I get this on here. Let me bring it down here, down here, down here. Now I'm going to take yellow. This is the brown green, and I'm just going to, oops. Now for the brown green, I'm just going in like this and doing just the little C's to pull it onto my brush. Just enough so that I can add just some shading. If that messes you up by doing that, then don't do it. Okay? I paint wet on wet sometimes just to kind of get the shading in there, but if that messes you up, don't do it. And again, see here? I always want to make these leaves pointed, so I took the point off. Okay. Now there's a third way you can do your leaves. Let me show you on the top one here. Let's pull it down. We're going to work on this guy here. And that is, take your chartreuse, take your warm brown green, and just add a tad of brown. And it will give you a whole different color. And pull it across. Turn your leaf. I know they don't match now. That's okay. It doesn't matter if they match in color now. First fire is going to fire out, but it's going to give you color to work with. And that's what you want. Now this leaf was turned down here, so I have to add a little brown, just a little brown, so that it flips over, so that you see the flip in it. And again, I'm going to make sure I don't have I want a round there. And I want this leaf to have a little more there. So you can go around and shape your leaves if you want. You can go back then with the paint and fill it in so that it's just the way you want it. Okay? Pansies are pretty straightforward. It's a great flower for a beginner. The main thing is that you load your brush correctly and you use the right size brush. And I am using, this is it says it's 3/8 inch, but it's the equivalent of a 10 in quill. Okay, so now up here, I want to repeat the colors. I don't want to keep adding new colors because I think it'll get to be distracting. So up here, I've loaded my brush with ivory and a little yellow brown. And I'm putting the darkest color at the base of this. Oops, come here, you. There we go. Okay, and here, I'm going to pull it in there. And then I'm just going to leave some spots that are just the white china. I know most people say, oh, that's terrible. Then you see the white china. I don't mind that. So it just depends on how you like to paint. I just am adding a little bit of color so that I know where the end of this flower is. And I'm going to get a little dark here on the end of my brush. And I'm going to make that flip over, stand out. And I'm going to make this a little bit darker in the background because it's a darker, oh, no, I don't like that at all. So I'm going to pull it down. And this one, I'm going to pull it out a little. That's better. Right there, I'm going to push it out a little. That's better. Okay. Now, you do have to use a smaller brush for some things. And when it comes to things like these little petals and things like that, I like to use, I have these Dresden brushes. They're really ideal for that. And I just put a little color on them and pull it up. This is a, oh, it doesn't have a size, sorry. I got these from Brigitte Porter. Her brushes were extremely reasonable, I thought. And I just love them. Okay, and then I can take my Q-tip and just wipe out a highlight maybe here. Oh, the pointy side isn't as pointy as it used to be in here and here. And then I have to paint it back in again because I took out too much, so. There we go. All right. Okay. We're going to paint these two. I'm going to do this relatively quickly now because we've talked a lot about painting the leaves. So this should go fairly quickly here. I'm just going to paint, pull it to the center. See, when I paint fast, I paint a little bit differently. And I know you will see that because that's just what I do. Sometimes I add a little blue in my green because I like that, but I don't have any blues in the background here, so I'm not going to do that. And then on this one here, I'm going to add a little brown to it because it's going to be back in here. Pull it into the center. Add a little brown here. Okay. And then add a little brown down here, little bit. Now we'll get lighter. I went back in and changed my color. Okay, leave white space. You won't get it back later. Try very hard to leave white space this time. There we go. Okay, I have this guy down here. Let's see, I might make him a pinky purple. Let's try it and see. Don't know if I'm going to like this pinky purple. Maybe I'll just make him purple. There we go. I've got a lot of purple on there. I'm just going to, again, just go for the center. But see, with the wide brush, you can start and follow the top of the flower and pull the color to the center, and it'll automatically give you that beautiful shading you want. Same thing here. Just pull down and let the top of your brush be your guide, because it will automatically help you distribute. If you only side load, it'll automatically help you distribute the deepest portion to the center of that. Okay, and I will take my this little guy and just kind of do these guys real quick. All right. I have a little leaf right here. Now, he's smaller than this. So how do I determine what size I'm going to use? See, this is about half that petal. I'm going to go down to this, which is a 6. The reason I chose the 6, ooh, hang on, it's got a lot of paint on it. I must not have cleaned this guy when I used him last. There we go. It has green forage. Is about half the size of the petal. That's how I determine it. For me, that works. I've always been told use the biggest brush you can use, because you do get the smoothest strokes. So if you're one of those people and you go, I just can't get my painting as smooth as yours. Yeah, you can. Just use a bigger brush. Okay, that's one. Now we're going to flip it over and we're going to do this guy. Same idea. Full load of the moss, side load of the warm brown green. I'm not putting all my veins and things in this time. I can do that next time. If you're new to China painting, you don't have to do everything at once. I really don't like this buildup here, especially since, I don't know, it looks a little too heavy to me. Hang on. Pull it out. That's a little better. I have to use the bigger brush though, because the bigger brush is perfect for this. There we go. Yeah. That's better. And then I'll just pull this down. That's what I mean by buildup. You see that buildup there? I don't want it. I can shade this the next time, so I'm not worried about it. Okay, the last one is right here. And it kind of runs off the side of the plate, which is kind of what I like. I'm back to my big brush again. I don't know if you can see it. There's a leaf here, and a leaf there. I didn't go and put everything on with the real dark Sharpie like I normally do, because quite frankly, it's hard for me to paint, and if I do a first fire with you, I usually have to redo it because it's such a mess because I can't see where the Sharpie ends. And this way, I don't have to deal with the Sharpie. So see, I just did the center. Now I'm doing the section underneath. And on this side, this is just with a side load of purple. As you paint with the purple, if you start pulling it up to the top, just move back on your brush and do it, you will automatically get a really pretty gradation in the color. And then you might want to put a little, see, I want a little purple down here so I know where this ends. So I'm just adding a little there. Oops, that wasn't right. There we go. Okay. Now I need a smaller brush. I have this brush. It's like a pointer, but not really a pointer. And it will help me with what I want to do on these little guys here. They go like this, and then they come up, and they go like this. Oops, push it down a little, and then they come up. Now push that down a little. There we go. And the only thing I have left now are my stems, which I will do with a pointer, I think. What do you call this? Scroller. That's a scroller. With the scroller, the key to getting these stems nice is put oil on. Just wipe it. Let me show you what I mean. Okay. With a scroller, I put oil on my brush. I mean, I dip it. Then I just wipe. That takes enough off. And then I go into my paint. Oops, let me show you my paint. Then I go into my paint. I'm going to use this color here. That's not quite as soupy as I'd like it. So I'm going to do that one more time. Go into my oil, wipe. Put this in and see when it gets so that I can kind of wash around with it. Now you could use turpentine too. Some people do. And if it works for you, use it. I kind of like the oil if it'll work for me. If not, then I go to the turpentine as well. And I'm trying to make graceful. Come on. Graceful stems. Now see, that one's not very graceful. The other one was much better. So then take your little thing and make it a little more graceful. You can do that. It's allowed. You can trim it up, make it prettier if you need to. Because once you put it on, it's on. I want a little circle there. That's kind of the way they are. And then pull it down. There we go. Okay. So once it's on, it's on. So make sure that you get what you want. If you don't like it, wipe it off until you get what you want. Now we'll do down here. I kind of anchor my hand and just pull. And this I'm better off backhand with. And then I'm going to turn it. And I like the little ends on it, little scrolled ends kind of. So that's why I'm doing the scrolled ends like that. I just think it finishes it off. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it. If you don't want to use your stems to come down, that's fine. Okay. All right. Now, the only other thing I have to do, and I have to tell you, I'm really thrilled with this guy here. Can you see him? I'll pull him up so you can see him. He really looks ruffly and stuff. I kind of like that. Okay. Now, if you wanted to, you could take your scroller and do, you know, some of these guys if you wanted to, but you don't have to. I'll do that on the second fire because that way I won't mess anything up. So now I'm back to my little Dresden brush. I'm going to clean it off really well, and I'm just going to put the yellow in the center of these two. I'm just going to pull from the bottom up. So pull towards yourself, silly. I just finished telling you guys that, and then I don't do it. Let me get a little more oil on there. I'm going to take a little ivory, mix it with a little mixing. And my mixing doesn't always stay on there the way I would like it to. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. You see this one now? I think the other one was kind of off. Okay. Now, I know that these guys need to be darker up in here. So, you can either do it on this fire or you can do it on the next fire. I let it set up a little. I've got my big brush. If I do it on this fire, this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to side load my big brush, the corner of it, with the purple, because that's what I want the color to be there on that second level. And I'm going to pull it in a little. I just think that might add a little better color there. And I'm going to do it on this side too. Make sure you turn. That's why these kind of turntables are nice. I'm just going to put a little purple, I think, down here. Oh, don't wreck it, Ann. I think I like that a little better than the pink down there. Okay, so you can paint wet over wet, but you have to be so careful. And if you don't like it, remember, don't play too much, and I'm about to, because if you play too much, then the next time when you come back to it, you can always add a lot of these things. Here, I think that goes down too low, so now I would take a picture of this, and I would study it and see if there's something I really hate, and if there is, I would change it before I fire it. Okay, so this is what I've done today. It actually even looks nice this way. And that's something I heard about. Good design, you can turn it a number of different ways and it will look equally good. You may want to add a little bit of ruffle to the top of some of those, and you can do that with a Q-tip. Just on the lighter ones, just make a little, little, and it'll give you some lightness. But then that way you're done. Fire it, and then decide what you're going to do the next time. Pick up those brushes, keep painting, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye. Subscribe so that other people can learn more about China painting and we can get the word out to more people. You also can look at the links below. My Paintnporcelain.com website has a lot of freebies and printables for new and experienced painters, as well as studies, supplies, and even some of my hand-painted china. So thank you again, and I'll see you next time.